What is going on, everyone? Today we have Manuj Aggarwal, who is the Chief Innovation Officer at Tetranoodle, and he has been posting. I've been seeing a ton of good insights from him around like ChatGPT and what does generative AI mean for businesses. So we're super happy to dive in and start talking some very interesting topics around what does generative AI mean for your business? How can you leverage these things? What are some things to be aware of? So with that, we want to thank him and welcome him on. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Enjoying this Thursday. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always great to have like thought leaders like yourself in the space be able to come on and just kind of, banter around, ask some questions that I've had or that, we've seen the market have and get the kind of expert insights.
Of course, I'm honored, excited. Thank you so much.
Of course, man. Yeah. So I usually the best way to kick it off, like if you just want to give like a quick intro, how did you wind up knowing so much about AI and how did you know so much about, ChatGPT and these other areas?
Yeah. Well, I mean, ChatGPT, AI, they are new to a lot of people, but AI as a technology has been around for decades, and I have been in technology for 30 years now, and worked on. I started working on AI like 15 years ago. So today, I'm one of the leading experts on AI. I have 4 patents in AI, so I invent things and all that. Um, And with ChatGPT and OpenAI, we started working on that about 2.5 years ago. We were the
Wow.
first sort of early beta users, and now a lot of people are talking about it, so which is a good thing. So I'm excited about finally talking about things that we were excited about for a long time, and now other people are interested in it too.
Yeah, that's amazing. So wow, 2.5. Yeah, so you were definitely early on. It was cool. I was looking at the timeline of AI, right, and I didn't realize that it was first kind of, I guess, coined in 1956, and then has gone through kind of like three major epochs, I would say, right? And then this kind of like what they're calling stage three of AI, which is the generative AI, is actually like still super new. So being in it 15 years, you were in AI even before the current era. You were in it like early on. When you saw or like so when you look at it now, right? And we'll use this time just to kind of mainly stick on like the generative side because that seems to be like what everyone what the market is buzzing about. And I've like we get asked all the time, or I'm sure a lot of like the viewers that are looking, it's like seeing ChatGPT everywhere. It's going to revolutionize everything. You see YouTube videos make $500,000 a day using ChatGPT. It's gonna get rid of all of these jobs. It's gonna make life better. I mean, what's your like objective take on it? Right? Is it as groundbreaking as the media is hyping it up to be, or is it kind of like, guys, I've been seeing this coming for a long time. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, the answer is both, because you see, like what we have been taught a lesson that Hollywood can tell us the future very well. So starting from Star Trek and all that, flip phones and things of that nature were dreamed by these creative storytellers, but they became reality. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with AI, where in a few years, AI is going to become a generic, what we call general artificial intelligence, meaning it will be able to do anything that a human can do. Before this, the AI used to be very specific. So you can create AI to do certain tasks. You
Mm-hmm.
can say, hey, look after this assembly line, answer calls, or whatever. But once that AI is trained, it cannot do anything else.
Right.
But now with ChatGPT, you can get a glimpse of what a generic AI will look like, because it can do, marketing, it can do legal, it can provide you medical advice, it can provide you, all kinds of things, right? So, so it is going to disrupt a lot of industries. It is going to probably affect a lot of jobs. But the idea is not that AI is going to replace jobs, but the person who knows how to use AI will replace the person who does not know how to use AI.
Mm, gotcha. Yeah. So there's kind of like two interesting parts. So do you think that the reason why ChatGPT has been getting so much hype is the fact that it's so conversational? Like, are there other more powerful, or I would say more powerful AI systems out there than ChatGPT? But the reason why everyone's latching on is because like I can feel like I'm talking to someone, and therefore, that has kind of enticed the masses.
See, one thing is what we see in the public arena has been in the works for 3 4 years. So whatever is in the works already is powerful. And some of the things I am privy to, but under NDA, some of the things I don't even know. Like they are happening in like deep secret labs on this Fortune 500 company.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why it has gained so much hype is because, as you know, like technology, when technology becomes accessible, when a lay person can start to use technology, that's when it catches fire. And with ChatGPT, they have simplified it enough that you don't need a PhD in data science or something along those lines to be able to interact with it and get meaningful outcome that you're looking for. And it's pretty useful in many cases, right? Like it can actually provide you results which are equivalent to people with decades and decades of experience. So that's real power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the elements that are contributing to its success.
Yeah, I mean, so that you mentioned something pretty interesting there, right? Like that ability to like access something easily, and in this case, potentially the expertise of someone that may have like decades of experience is super strong. There was recently I was saw a quote, and I'm curious like your thoughts on it from Ray Dalio on generative AI and kind of specifically ChatGPT, but I think the context is more generative AI. Is that he views it as, and I'll quote him here, is that it's part of an evolutionary process in which technology increasingly replacing parts of man, meaning that what AI, and this is the BARDA context, is that that it is there to help kind of remove like nuancy things that we shouldn't be doing, right? And we should be focused on more. I would call it like human capable, or maybe like earned human interest type of things, right? Like we shouldn't be just doing nuancy, mundane, repetitive work. Like a computer should be doing that, or a machine should be doing that. We should be in charge of like thinking abstractly and like creatively. I mean, do you see when he says it's part of an evolutionary process? Do you think that's true? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll give you an example, right? So if you look at a very long-term view of human evolution, right? At that time, let's say we were living in caves, and we wanted to kill a big animal.
Mm-hmm.
And humans are not capable of like killing an elephant or anything like that. But we figured out that if we take a lever at the mountain top, and then we create and we use that lever to push down a big rock, it can hit the elephant and kill it, and then it'll will feast for like a month.
Right.
uh, and now that technology became part of us, became
Mm-hmm.
part of our evolution, right? So technology has always helped us move forward faster and better. The only difference now is every other invention, every other technology that has been invented, it helped us to enhance our physical abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we move faster, we lift heavier weights, and things of that nature. But AI is the only technology that has helped us now. It will help us think faster, or it will help our mental abilities, right? So as you said, as evolution is unfolding, we can see that the more mundane things, that things we don't enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
are always offloaded to machines and automation. And thinking before this point, we used to value people who can think,
Right.
everything thinking, right? White collar jobs. Basically, it's people who can think more creatively. But now AI will be able to think 1,000, 1,000,000 times faster and better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So evolution wise, our human, as you said, like our human emotions, our ability to connect, our ability to listen, our ability to empathize, that will become more important, because that is what drives us anyway. That is
Mm-hmm.
the whole sort of secret sauce of humanity. That's why we became the most powerful species on the planet.
Right. Yeah, it's always fascinating to think of that. You made an interesting point around like a majority of like large innovations, if we think in like species timelines, has it been, how do we either one, help us out in the physical world, whether that be stronger, faster, more comfortable, right? Lifestyles, all of that kind of seeking nature. But a lot of the innovations now in the tech space is more like, what do we do for the mental gymnastics, right? And how do you add accelerant to how people can think, and allow them to think more, reduce those mundane,
Yeah,
chores, so that they can think more creatively, with like what humans should really be, what we're special at, right?
exactly, exactly.
And so if you look at that from, and I know that you guys help a lot of like big brands and big businesses around like AI. So when you're talking to them about, specifically generative AI, what do you kind of lead in with? Like, what's the value prop that you send to them? Is it like, hey, you can make people mentally more capable, you can do something?
See, the thing is always with technology is that never start with the solution,
Mm-hmm.
but start with the problem. So we say, okay, tell me what is it, what is the most important problem that is keeping you up at night, and we start from there, because then we can say. So I'll give you a quick example. One Fortune 500 company we are working with, they have a typical problem, which is a productivity loss. Because of the pandemic and hybrid work, a lot of people have sort of they have disengaged in some way
Mm-hmm.
from their employment, and the communication gap and all that stuff, it's causing a lot of anxiety in people, right? So AI can actually be used in understanding what is going on, understanding the sentiment of people, understanding what are their concerns, and then you can use generative AI to address those concerns, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not always easy for people uh, to talk in the language that their target audience is looking for. For example, in this case, the executives, they're always talking high level. They want to see the charts and the graphs and all that stuff.
Right.
The middle management is focused on day-to-day operations. What are the project plans, who's needed to get this done. The person in the field, they are concerned about, okay, I just want my 9 to 5, I want to get this done, I want to go back home, make sure food on the table is there, right? They don't
Yep.
understand graphs and charts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now you can see, utilizing data and generative AI, we can start to have these layers of an organization communicate better with each other.
Oh, I see. Okay, so interesting. So you're saying that one of a good way to do it is be able to, if I understand this right, like, so you could take, so generative AI in this case within a business is able to synthesize insights, but then, um, surface them in different ways, so that no matter where you are in the kind of corporate hierarchy, you get the most value out of them.
Correct, correct,
Is that
correct.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
fascinating.
like, I'll give you a concrete example in this case. So, for example, in this case, we found out that from employee surveys, people are concerned about vaccinations.
Mm.
Whether we are vaccinated or not. Some people are not. Some people are vaccinated.
Yeah.
And so now, when the executive is talking, rather than sending a graph of how much budget we have spent, how much further away we are from the goal, they say, hey, I understand your concerns about the vaccination, and I've talked to a few people, and here is what we are doing about that. And by the way, just to give you an update on the monthly progress, we are doing this, and part of it could be attributed to the actions we took last week or last month about your concerns. How do you feel about that? Right. So
Mm.
now it's much more fluid conversation, much more resonant conversation. People are feeling heard, and executives are feeling like they are listening to their employees and solving the real problems.
Right. So would you say that it kind of, something that I think about a lot, is around distributed work, around remote teams, right? And that was obviously accelerated with COVID, and I think now it's interesting to see that there's a lot of, push to from some people to go back to the office. Some people don't want to go back to the office. You're seeing fragmentations in culture, or like, disjunction from upper management from those in the field because they're not seeing them from day to day. So maybe it's a loss in context. Do you think that there's a huge opportunity here, right, for generative AI to I don't want to say like save companies, but maybe more of like an opportunity for it to enable this idea of remote or distributed or global teams um, in a way that people may have not thought that it would. Does that make sense?
Uh, Definitely, because the thing is, as we go through these changes, we will need to become better at understanding each other's concerns.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of change happening, social, economic, and all that, and we're not always taught how to communicate better in schools. But with generative AI, as I gave an example, um, we can just say, "Hey, this is sort of what I'm thinking to talk about. How do I express my feelings in a way that will resonate?" That can really help us get to know each other better, communicate with each other better.
Mm-hmm.
Once that happens, it can help us like expand our horizons in terms of how we work in this hybrid environment, in the global sort of workplace, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that, yeah. So I was reading a book. I've been like kind of like going through a book called, I think it's The Age of AI. It's by Henry Kissinger and Eric Schmidt,
Mm.
and another guy. I'm so sorry if I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but if he does, I'm sorry, third author there. But they bring up this really interesting like thought experiment around AI, specifically in the case of being able to do like real time translations, and they talk about what does that mean for globalization, and that like a lot of times collisions between different cultures was early on in civilization was separated by distance, and then it became separated by language. And then the meshing layer kind of in between that a lot of times was like diplomats, right? Because it's hard for one culture to
Yeah.
empathize with another culture. But now when you layer on you know this generative AI or new AI that's able to like basically remove that language barrier, you can have these cultural clashes for good and bad, right? Because now they can communicate in real time. But with that ability to all of a sudden be able to do this without
Mm.
learning kind of cultural values or different, I don't know, ethics and
Yeah.
preferences and things like that, it could open up a really potentially bad or potentially good kind of use case. And I had just a like thought experiment for globalization. I thought it was a really fascinating one, especially for companies, right? As they try to like pivot into like we're going to go global because we're all remote now, so why shouldn't we just start staffing people from everywhere? So it's a pretty cool like thing to think through, I think sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I'm always curious about this too. When you're, and I'm sure you've gotten this before, but if one of your customers, like someone in the C-suite sees ChatGPT and generative AI pop up in the news, CEO sees it, goes back into work, and says, "We need to do we need to do AI," and the company's like, "Okay, like, what does that mean?" I used to hear a lot of like, Corey, we need to do blockchain." I'm like, I don't know what you mean by we need to do blockchain, but like, there's got to be something. So if that executive came to you and said, "We want to do AI," and you knew that they didn't know a ton about it, like what would be some insights that you would give them so that they might understand like the limitations or the possible from it that might help shape their approach to moving into AI.
See, once again, my answer is the same, where we say, hey, because what happens is, when a technology becomes really like hot in the news, people are
Mm-hmm.
talking about it. The executives want to incorporate it into their stack for many purposes. One, marketing, because they want to be, always talking about cutting edge technologies. They don't want to get left behind, based on competition and all that. So that's where they're coming from. But when they come to us and say, hey, we want this technology, we say, okay, forget about the technology, give me the problem you're trying to solve. What is it that you are trying to solve? And then we say, is this a scenario where AI can help you or not?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, these are the ways we can implement it. If not, these are the other alternative technologies which will help in this scenario. So let's focus on that. And by the way, if you were to use AI, these are some examples, blah, blah, blah. So um, it's almost like, you go to a driving school, and if you don't know how to drive, they'll teach you the basics, and they'll say, hey, this is the accelerator, this is the brake, this is the
Yeah.
steering wheel, and now you know the basics. Now drive A to B and see how it goes, right?
Right.
And now, as you start to get a hang of it, you can say, hey, oh, this is pretty cool. I can go grocery shopping, but with the same skill, I can compete in Formula One racing, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's interesting. Yeah, that's I've never thought about it like that. But yeah, no, that's it. Yeah. I mean, but like it's so if you say that if executives are coming, like, what's a common problem though that you see? Like, is there something that anytime an executive walks up to you, they're like, we want to do AI, it's like, there's a 30% chance or a 50 70% chance this is probably what they're trying to solve.
Human error is the biggest one.
Human
You know,
error.
yeah,
Yeah.
because like like it or not, I mean, humans are the best and the worst. So when people want to optimize things, like especially like speed, accuracy, mission critical stuff, human error is the main problem.
Mm-hmm. No, that is very true. I'm I'm definitely a lot of the problem sometimes. So so I agree. But man, thank you so much for the time. I know that we're bumping up towards the end here, but if anyone wants to follow you, to find you, to learn more about you, what's the best place for them to do it?
LinkedIn is the best. Just look up my name, Manuj Aggarwal, and send me a connection request. Just mention you heard me here, and yeah.
Perfect. Well, we will put your contact info and stuff down in the comments as well. But with that, thank you so much, man, for the time. This was super helpful. I definitely got some tidbits out of here, and I will be writing some
Yeah.
of them up. But with that, man, have the great rest of your day, and look forward to chatting again soon.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Cheers, brother. And with that, Manuj Aggarwal, awesome. So, CIO of Tetranoodle, that was like an awesome conversation. Again, like, we talk with these thought leaders all the time, and there's always little bits that you can pull out, like whether it's like use cases, whether it's like this or that, or just trying to get a better handle of like how these executives approach the problems is always really good. So, if not, we'll put his comment and info down below. But with that, we will see you next time. Keith, run the outro.